Hi, Curious Iowans. I'm Bailey Chihan, and have I got a story for you? Curious Iowa is a series from the Gazette that answers readers' questions about our state, its people, and culture. This week's installment didn't come from a reader question. It came from a reader bringing in old editions of the Gazette. Some of the pages were from Sunday, August 11th, 1946. That was a special edition that looked back on Iowa history in celebration of the Iowa Centennial. While looking through the wealth of information on these pages, a headline and advertisement stood out to me. First electric lights brought here by Circus. The story starts off, quote, "An exciting thing occurred in Cedar Rapids early in June 1882. The first electric lights came to town as a feature attraction of the Barnum and Bailey Circus. It was the first known time that electricity had been used for lighting in Iowa, according to C.G. Greene, who was the first president of the Light and Power Company." In another section of the same edition of the Gazette, there was an advertisement from Iowa Electric Light and Power Company. The ad detailed what attractions came with Barnum and Bailey's circus, like bareback riders, elephants, and, quote, "Captain Cotentinus, the tattooed man with 388 clearly defined figures on his body," end quote. But the most dazzling part of the show was when the circus tent was lit up with electric lights. What an intriguing story, right? But there's one problem. Barnum and Bailey's 1882 circus route book recorded 0 shows in Iowa that year. So the question became, did someone misremember the name of the circus, the year, or both? So is it even possible that the circus brought electric lights to Iowa for the first time? The answer to that is yes. So we know that in 1879, the first circuses are using this new technology and incorporating it into their shows. One of the first groups to do that is James E. Cooper and James A. Bailey, and they have a show called The Great London. James A. Bailey, of course, is the other half of Barnum and Bailey, and this is just a couple of years before he becomes business partners with P.T. Barnum. So Cooper and Bailey link up with Brush Electric Light Company out of Cleveland, and they arrange to have lights to furnish their menagerie. That's where their exotic animals are. And then also lights in their main tent. And this cost $15,000. A piece of historical context that I think you should have here is that 1879, we're like at the start of the golden age of circus. Circus is this massive form of popular entertainment to the point where some places will shut down school, give people the day off work just so they can attend the circus. This is the time period when anything wacky and weird and novel sells. And taking a second here to mesh the historical context I'm giving with that advertisement from 1946, it mentions a Captain George Cotentinus. They're actually referencing Captain George Costentinus, the tattooed man. But he's a great example of like what people are coming to the circus to see. They want to see things they've never seen before. I spoke with the circus historian Chris Berry, and he told me during the golden age of American circus, there was a lot of competition. And sometimes the owners and operators of the circuses would make claims that might be false. If somebody has an advantage over you, they're basically going to criticize that advantage and try to turn it against them. And we see that with electric lights as well. So again, pretty expensive to incorporate electric lights. We heard $15,000 for the Great London. And if you had the lights, you were advertising it. This was like central to advertising campaigns. And we see that the people who didn't have the electric lights were advertising that electric lights could damage your eyes. So for practical reasons and showmanship reasons, it makes total sense that circuses are jumping on this new electric light technology and incorporating it into their shows. So the short answer is yes, it's pretty likely that circus brought electric lights to the public. It was a popular kind of sideshow type attraction. Circus was very popular. A lot of people came to it. You've got this new technology. It's being spread through this way with traveling circuses. It makes sense. It all checks out. Of course, what doesn't check out is Barnum and Bailey in Cedar Rapids in 1882. Going back through their route books, that's just not possible. They were in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. They were on the East Coast, and they did not make a single stop in Iowa in the year of 1882. So to verify which circus could have brought electric lights to Cedar Rapids for the first time and when, I did a lot of research, and I'm going to dig into what I found, the theories I have, and the conclusion I've come to. So I spoke with historians at the History Center in Cedar Rapids. historians at the Illinois State University Milner Library, which has a special collection filled with things about circus, including various route books. And I also talked with a historian at the Barnum Museum. I also went through a circus route database, a digital circus route book archive, and newspaper archives. Here's what I came up with. So thanks to Tara Templeman at the History Center in Cedar Rapids, I found out that W.C. Coop came to Cedar Rapids in 1882. It was actually at the end of May. Coop was business partners with Barnum. He was actually Barnum's original business partner. And we know that Barnum took credit for a lot of Coop's ideas. While Coop's show in May 1882 is really close to C.G. Greene's statement in the Gazette that a circus came in early June 1882, I don't feel like Coop is our guy. That's simply because I can't verify if he had electric lights at his show. All of the advertisements we were able to find for Coop's show in that year makes no mention of electric lights. And again, if you had the money to have electric lights in your show, that was central to your marketing. What's interesting is that September 30th, 1881, Adam Forepaw's circus comes to Cedar Rapids, and I've found an advertisement from 1879 with Adam Forepaw's show advertising electric lights. Working backwards some more, it's interesting in 1881, Barnum has combined his show with the Great London. So remember, Great London was Cooper and Bailey back in 1879. Going back and looking at a route book, I've confirmed that on August 17th, 1881, Barnum and the London shows were in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So is Adam Forepaugh or Barnum in the London shows the answer we're looking for? Is this what C.G. Greene was referencing in that Gazette article? I don't think so. So Maureen Brunsdale and Mark Schmidt from Milner Library Special Collections helped me in my research. And they asked, is it possible that C.G. Greene was just a year off? They had found an advertisement for S.H. Barrett & Co.'s New Great Pacific, which had come to Cedar Rapids on July 8th, 1881. In that advertisement, there is a reference to 500,000 yards of great electric lighted tents. This is great, but I think there might be another explanation. Since we're in 1881, remember Captain George, the tattooed man I mentioned earlier? Well, it's very unlikely that he was in Cedar Rapids in 1882, as that advertisement said, because in 1881, he is exhibiting himself at the Royal Aquarium. Just another inaccuracy that I found in my research with that advertisement. In 1880, I have 4 different circuses that are in Cedar Rapids. I have Van Amberg, Great Interocean, Sells Brothers, and Barnum's Greatest Show on Earth. Do I think that Captain George is the key to this story? No, but I could be wrong. So Captain George toured with P.T. Barnum in 1879 and 1880. Is it possible that the advertisement from 1946 combined fond circus memories from Cedar Rapids into one thing? Did they all blend together in retellings? It's possible. And for the sake of being thorough, I don't believe that the list of circuses that I've compiled is the list of every single circus that has ever come to Cedar Rapids in this time frame. Databases and collections can be incomplete. We're very lucky to have the written records that we do, but if we take it back just one more year, I have a theory that I feel pretty confident in, but again, it's just a theory. So remember, 1879, that's the big year we keep talking about because it's the first year that electric lights are being used by circuses. And remember, Cooper and Bailey. After looking at a circus route database and cross-referencing with a route book, I can place Cooper and Bailey in Cedar Rapids on September 17th of 1879. I also found reference to a Philadelphia Inquirer story from April 7th of that year that confirms that electric lights were a part of the show. So is it possible that 1879 was actually the year when the circus brought electric lights to Cedar Rapids, Iowa for the first time? Yes, I think that's highly likely. And potentially, Barnum and Bailey came from Cooper and Bailey, just a misremembering of that name. I believe that the date and name of the circus has been misreported over the years, and that can likely be summed up by just oral history. If you think of a game of telephone, when you pass a message around a group of people and how it changes, It's very likely that things just got misremembered over the years. And C.G. Greene, the first president of Cedar Rapids' electric light company, did not have access to a circus route database, circus route books, and a whole host of historians to verify what he was telling the Gazette, and probably didn't even realize that what he was saying was incorrect. So Cedar Rapids Electric Light and Power was not the first electric company in Iowa. That accolade actually goes to Davenport Electric Light Company, which was formed in May 1882. During my research, I came across a publication from the 70s called A Century of Light, The Development of Iowa's Electric Utilities by Alan Axelrod. So unfortunately, that publication did repeat the story of Barnum and Bailey Circus in 1882, which we believe isn't true, but I was able to verify other information. So in early August 1882, a group of interested citizens meet at the Grand Hotel to hear sales pitches from rival electric companies that want to light the streets of Cedar Rapids. And on August 31st, 1882, the Cedar Rapids Electric Light and Power Company is formed. By 1883, there's a mixture of gas lamps and electric lights on the streets of Cedar Rapids. So Cedar Rapids Electric Light and Power Company has a lot of different names over the years. This was another piece of my research, just tracking if this company still has a legacy today, and it does. So we start on 1882 with that first name. 1917, we've got Iowa Railway and Light Company. 1932, it changes to Iowa Electric Light and Power Company. And then we go to IES Utilities in 1994. And in the 90s, Align Energy merges Cedar Rapids' IES Utilities and Dubuque's Interstate Power Company to what we know today as Interstate Power and Light Company. If you've made it this far, I want to say thank you for listening to the story of how a circus brought electric lights to Cedar Rapids, Iowa for the first time. While I didn't come up with a solid answer of who and when, I think we have a better understanding of what the possibilities are. If you have a question for Curious Iowa, we want to hear it. Submit your questions about our state, its people, its history, and culture at thegazette.com/curious. I'm Bailey Chihon.